Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Software Plaza podcast. I'm Twain Taylor, editor at Software Plaza, and I talk week in and week out to some of the really interesting folk in the cloud native and Kubernetes industry. People who are building products and solving real challenges that organizations face in the cloud. And today I'm going to be talking to Scott Leatherman, who's the CMO at Aviatrix. They're into cloud security, and we're going to get into more detail about how exactly they approach cloud security in just a bit. But Scott, it's great to have you with us. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, thanks, Wayne. It's a pleasure and honor. I appreciate it.
Right, yeah, you're taking some time off from your KubeCon visit right now to talk to us. How's the conference been? What stood out to you this year?
It's a really interesting year-over-year investment for us. The first year we were here, as traditional marketing goes, it's tough when nobody knows who you are and why you're even there. The second year has been a boon. We have actually been overwhelmed at our booth all day long, which is great. We're the only booth amongst probably 200 booths. I'm guessing that's not a scientific number that have cloud Kubernetes. I'm sorry, cloud firewall for Kubernetes.
Okay.
And
Mhm.
um, it really shows that people are still struggling with security, and just because they've moved to Kubernetes, their surface area is still expanding, and the complexity is becoming more and more challenging every, day. I just wrote something on LinkedIn about, I was writing day by day, but it's actually heartbeat by heartbeat. It is the surface area risk is so challenging, and
Mm.
it has kept our booth incredibly busy. We have seen our next door neighbor is no small company, NVIDIA, and they're standing around staring at us, wondering what we're doing. And one of the coolest companies in the world, one of the highest flying companies, is kind of standing there looking at each other, and no side against them because they're awesome. But it's been, as a marketer, it's been refreshing and exciting.
Wow, that's so cool. I want to get into just what's making people actually flock to the idea of a firewall so much in just a bit. But before we get to that, tell us a bit about yourself and just your journey so far, your career, and you getting to Aviatrix. How did that happen?
Well, I'm old, so it would take a really long time to do my entire career journey. So, in short, I first half of my career was startups, and particularly in security and compliance. Um, Started off actually in marketing software, and then went security compliance. Was acquired by SAP in 2006 at a company called Versa, which was, we went from 13 million to 45 million, and they clipped us at about 3 years of existence. And then thought I would check out SAP for a while. My mentor, Pete Tierney, who was
Mhm.
the SVP of marketing at Oracle during the heyday of Oracle, said, you know what, big companies have a lot of benefits. Go learn, go grow. And so I
Mhm.
struggled, to be honest, for the first year inside of SAP. And then I really had three amazing careers at SAP. Uh,
Wow.
and one of them was, starting off in the GRC um, and performance software. And we were working for Doug Merritt as he was the GM. He had all of sales, marketing, and development, which was pretty rare in SAP. So I got exposed to Doug Merritt there. I was a huge fan of him 20 years ago, and continued to be a fan of the human and his knowledge and his passion for learning and growth. Um,
Mhm.
and then I went on to work for Amit Sinha and Vishal and really actually Hasso, as well as a brilliant marketer in Amit Sinha. And we launched SAP HANA for SAP in 2010, I believe it was. So
Mhm.
early, one of the first three people in the HANA team from the marketing side, really got to grow there with Steve Lucas as the head of sales, kind of Forrest Gumped my way through some of the biggest and brightest names in the world today, and got to work with some really amazing humans there at SAP. And then I became the COO of North America Labs, and I was really just a marketer solving, you know, e employee and ecosystem alignment for SAP, and got to work
Mm,
with the Obama administration, got to work with Apple building an iOS program inside of SAP, and brought Kubernetes onto our campus when they launched it in 2014, and did some really, really cool stuff to help my peers around the world. They helped me, but I got to work internationally and spent time in Israel, spent time, lots of time in Germany, but also time in uh, more remote areas of SAP, which is a phenomenal experience being born and raised in the Bay Area. And at some
mm.
point, I spent 13 years and it felt like three and three amazing careers. And
That's a
then I
long time.
decided I wanted, after spending time in Israel, really, I wanted to spend time back in the startup world. And so I jumped ship and landed in a cloud migration company, did an AI platform company for a couple of years, and then even had a stint at a um, influencer marketing company where we're building software for influencer management and influencer background checks using AI for looking and auditing videos. Um,
Mm,
and then when Doug landed at Aviatrix, my desire to get back into the technology that I love, which is, security, and get back into solutions that are focused on the underserved, which is networking, and then ultimately the opportunity to work in a Doug Merritt company was really, really desirable for me. And I ended up at Aviatrix and really have been running and sprinting, but also kind of celebrating the entire time. It's been a really fun ride. We have a really strong team. Executive team is brilliant, but we have a really strong marketing team now, and we're growing it. And it's been a lot of fun. It's been a sprint, but it's been a lot of fun.
it's quite a story, and you tell it really well. 13 years at SAP, yeah, that's quite a while. And really interesting that you got to, see both sides of the spectrum across your career. Which, or probably rather than which, well, what do you like more about the startup world, and what do you like more about the enterprise world?
Um, as a marketer, I love the fact that I'm a player coach. Like I'm literally reviewing meta tags and keyword copy and working with our content team and our demand gen team and our PMM team at every level. I love that. And um, the dopamine response of being creative is better than any caffeine or any,
Mhm.
additive I can put in my life. I just love that. And so being a player coach is awesome. At SAP, the scale is very addictive too, because you're working with a small team and then you have the SAP army behind you and brilliant leaders to really give you the feedback and nurturing that take your programs from a kernel to global economic scale, across 100,000 employees and, billions of end users, maybe not billions, but hundreds of millions of end users. And it just the scale that is provided to the work you there and the immediate impact globally is also very addictive too. So on both sides, I guess at a small company, I covet the SAP scale, and when at SAP, I was kind of coveting the orchestration and transparency and interactivity and collaboration across all those groups, which is hard to do when you're, distributed across the world. So best of both worlds, really, SAP is a phenomenal company. I had a phenomenal time, and I truly do feel like I Forrest Gumped my way through some of the executive leadership there. Um, and it was a really rich experience for me.
Yeah, quite a story. Now, I want to get to the topic of our conversation today, which is what you touched on in your first response, talking about cloud firewalls.
Yeah.
Tell us what's the reason that you got so much interest at KubeCon, at your booth. Why are people so interested in cloud firewall? What makes it so important today?
Yeah, humbly, I was a bit concerned because we had some what I'll call cute names for what is a cloud firewall, trying to, fit into the next gen firewall category that has been around for 20 years. We were calling it cloud perimeter security or even distributed cloud firewall historically. Um, but there's really three things people need in life, and one of them, is water. The other one is food, and the third one is a firewall. So the growing challenge of risk and the ever expanding nature of our surface areas, whether you're talking about your own personal footprint or the enterprise, which is really scary. It just is demanding, and so for us, we when we launched the when we changed our name to simply being a cloud firewall for the product, and when we launched Kubernetes firewall, it really resonated with people because this is what they know and they've been looking for, and they know the problem isn't solved. And it's not to say that your next gen firewalls that have been around for 20 years aren't doing a great job. You know, that those walls that they build to keep bad actors out have kept us largely safe for 20 years. And it's the growing challenge of, I mean, shoot, we have shareware for hijacking and other things. It's such a scary environment, and it's underserved, and networking is really, really hard. It is not easy. And so when the when we provide a solution that really looks at firewalling in a different way, people are paying attention because it is number one, their chief concern, and now they're largely personally responsible for it too. So it's not just that, oh, my company failed, or that, we didn't do a good job and now our share price is down. It's their personal finances, and God forbid their personal freedom can be at risk if they don't actually do everything in their ability to protect their customers' data.
Mhm. Tell us a bit more about why the traditional firewall doesn't work in a modern cloud native stack with Kubernetes. What's changed? What's made these firewalls not adequate for the needs today?
Yeah, I'll be real clear. Look, you need the next gen firewalls. They're not something you're throwing away. It's not something you can just say, oh, we don't need those. You need those. They are the cloud firewalls today that exist from Palo and others are stopping the bad actors at the front door, the side door, and the back door. They are doing their best to remediate risk, in real time as bad actors are trying to enter. Where we are unique is that we're focused on east-west and egress, where we are inside looking at the data. So if you think about traditional zero trust, it started at the workload level, and then because of the industry, it went over to identity. And we're still back at the workload because it's every data packet. It's every piece of data matters. And it's not just a select bit, and it's not just, it's not an economic issue because you have to pay for egress with us. It's every data packet. So why we work well with other firewalls is because we have a different slant on protecting what's going on inside the application and making sure that the data doesn't leave the application in the egress. And so if you think about traditional firewalls, or next gen firewalls, I should say, is they're the four walls protecting what's getting into your home, and we're actually protecting things from leaving your home. And then we have some other benefits. When you asked about Kubernetes, why it's unique, I would say that it's unique largely because we have Anirban as our CTO. He was the head of GKE development for the last 5 years. He came to us about a year ago. Looked at and he's an old soul in networking, been doing it, longer than I've been in marketing, which is a long time. Don't tell him I said that because he'll feel bad about my statement. But otherwise, he is one of the very original developers of the software-defined networking and has been doing it a long time. And then his tenure at Google brought this insight into how we can resolve some really painful problems while providing security. And with our very simple and um, beautiful solution, he actually reduced one of the main issues with Kubernetes, which is IP exhaustion. We actually can take, say, the Azure's standard IP, of 1,000 and take it up to 60 plus thousand IPs. And so the unique nature of providing east-west security and egress security, but also reducing IP exhaustion, makes our product really interesting and really functional, if you will. Then on the last kind of big reason why people are caring about Kubernetes firewall is um, unlike other solutions like a service mesh, just being honest, again, a robust solution, but very hard, very complicated, and we've gone simple and clean. One of the big pivots there for us was we realized service mesh works, it does work, but in order to do an upgrade, you have to take down your entire Kubernetes cluster. You have to take that, you have to stop and reboot and do the whole thing, which is just a huge hassle. And it's not to say that service mesh is a bad solution. It's just challenging and it's hard to use. And so in the disruption of that category, we're looking at making it easy, fast, and efficient. And efficient would mean not taking down your cluster. And so our firewall for Kubernetes is real time for steady state. And if you want to provide an upgrade or if you want to establish security or compliance on CPU usage per se, it's real time. You don't have to stop and start. And it's those three things really got people buzzing at KubeCon and has kept our booth really busy.
Wow, interesting. I want to ask about this thing called policies, where some of the vendors solving for this problem of network security. They talk a lot about policies, managing policies at scale, and that policies are the way to have fine-grained control. Um, are you guys big on policies as well, or do you take a different approach?
No, we actually see policies as a critical lever as well. You know,
Mm,
microsegmentation is cool again. And so microseg and policy enforcement and run books is all a way for us to scale the efficiency and kind of future-proof your product, really. The combined knowledge of our product that leverages, we have an agnostic AI model, but leveraging AI within our product to help you with your problem resolution and your policy enforcement is the future. It's what people are expecting. It's amazing how fast we adopted LLM. I think everybody was ready for that easy button inside of our global ecosystem of tech users, myself included. But ultimately, it's what's expected now. And so the fact that we can, future-proof your product through policy and ultimately have you improve your overall posture and structure through what I like to call gamification. It's probably not the right term, but ultimately allows you to do a security risk and audit in our product, and you can actually see how your actions are improving, hopefully not, reducing your security posture and improving your security score. Uh, all of that makes it a lot easier for the network and the cloud security, um, operations people really to understand what the moves and future posture helps their business long term.
all right, all right. Could you give us an example of the enhancements with AI that you built in? Maybe one of the examples, the common examples that comes up.
Sure. That very topical for you and I and the ecosystem of cloud security, is the potential acquisition of Wiz by Google. Um,
Mhm,
it's a very strategic acquisition. It's brilliant by Google. Wiz is just a beast of a company and crushing it. So kudos to both. They have a very strong system of identifying the risk. And we'll
mhm,
call it the 50% problem, right? Is, knowing your baggage and addressing it as it comes off the turnstile is a big thing.
mhm,
Um, Being able to, resolve or remediate the risk in real time is really challenging. And that's why networking is hard. Using AI inside of that to understand the best posture, the best policy, and ultimately the impact of that is what our our use of the LLM, again, agnostic. You can pick and choose, but ultimately the use of LLMs and policy enforcement is really kind of where we're looking at accelerating the remediation. So, hey, you've got an alert, or we found an alert. It doesn't matter how it got to you as a network admin or a security admin. You now need to resolve it, and that's where the our focus of investment of the LLM is. We're not really looking at autonomous networking. That's just to be clear, that's kind of a myth. There's very much a human on the loop. But the ultimate goal there is just to find the easy button as fast as we can for the security posture that's going to reduce your surface area risk.
mhm, mhm. Interesting. So the cloud firewall and the Kubernetes firewall, are they part of the same product? Is the Kubernetes firewall just a feature of the overall cloud firewall, or have you built them differently?
Brian,
How
you're a
they?
very smart, you're a very smart human. Yes, it is the same solution. It is um, obviously it's priced um, very similar, and we structure it the same way, but we obviously put services around it that are different for Kubernetes. And we have a deep dive services team that helps with Kubernetes versus, say, the VM structure, depending on what companies need. It's Kubernetes is not everywhere, but it will be. It feels like that. We were talking to people that have been using Kubernetes day one or with day two, and we had people come into our booth yesterday asking about architecture because they knew Honorbahn was there. So we have really seen the run of the gamut. About my assumption, based on the conversation at KubeCon, I'd say about 20 to maybe 25% of their workloads had moved to containers, but which is still a long way to go. But as the cloud migration shows us, if anything, path, this is the future. And until something disrupts this major movement, which we saw plenty of people running around with red hats yesterday too, so that's 30 years old, and I don't see it changing. I see Kubernetes as a growing and challenging space for people to manage.
Mhm, mhm. I also noticed something new that you guys released recently, Aviatrix Pass. Uh,
Yeah.
is that different, completely different from your cloud firewall product?
No. So the Aviatrix PaaS is just a different service delivery. We have the ability to work with 100 plus financial services companies and large healthcare companies that required a traditional self-managed platform, and that's where our primary focus was as we're a 10-year-old company. Um, but as upgrades go and changes, we saw the need for a PaaS solution, and so we invested over the last several years to deliver something that was on par for our customers, and now it's just an option for them in a buying path. It is the same. It uses the same cloud native data plane, which makes us unique because we have a multi-cloud data plane. I think we're one of the only, but I think our legal team may be stopping me from using the word only. But ultimately,
Mhm,
I don't know of another company out in the marketplace that has a cloud native data plane for multi-cloud. And so we use that. That is, and then just use a different service delivery for PaaS or for the enterprise edition.
mhm. All right, cool. So for those of the viewers who are watching this, we try to get in a visual aspect to our conversation. I was wondering if you could show us a quick video that you have prepared talking about Aviatrix solution.
Yeah. Now you're going to challenge me to get to a share mode, but we'll do our best here to transition.
Yep.
Let's go to large screen.
Kubernetes for app modernization is great, but let's face it, it introduces some critical security and operational issues. Legacy security tools just weren't built for dynamic cloud realities, and you still have infrastructure as a service workloads to manage. As Kubernetes adoption scales, handling hybrid workloads creates blind spots, and those security policy gaps put your applications and your company at risk. Not to mention the massive amounts of IP addresses you're burning through. That's where Aviatrix Kubernetes Firewall solves the problem at scale. It's the any cluster, any cloud network security solution that protects Kubernetes workloads, and Aviatrix's advanced NAT capabilities resolve IP exhaustion as well. Secure your Kubernetes and infrastructure as a service environments with the only cloud native, scalable zero trust workload solution that simplifies application modernization and improves manageability. Start a free trial or schedule a demo of Aviatrix Kubernetes Firewall and be the Kubernetes cloud hero in your organization.
Neat. Yeah, and we touched on some of those ideas there. You kind of mentioned zero trust. Um, I was curious to know about app modernization as a benefit.
Sure.
Tell us a bit more about that because it seems like something that people don't immediately think of when they think of network security. But how does it help with modernization?
Yeah. Uh, I keep wanting to call you Mark Twain. I don't know. I apologize for that, but I want to add the Mark in front of your name. But Twain, great question, and very impressed with your insights here. Um,
Mhm.
the application modernization or even infra modernization is on pretty much every whiteboard and every CIO's office globally today. Um, the underestimation of the impact on the network is deafening, and it's the end all be all of their performance, their orchestration. We'll call it 10% as much as maybe as 15% of their cloud compute cost is at the network layer. And the workloads and performance and security all end up at the bottom line of the network. And yet the focus is really on enabling speed and agility when they talk about application modernization. And so you can't extract one from the other, but unfortunately, the um, cloud marketing of the 90s and 2000s, if you will, kind of created a myth that everything is easy, and if you move everything to the cloud, you don't have to invest in networking, you don't have to invest in security, and it's almost the extreme opposite. You know, the um, I'm not sure if your audience remembers the Target hack of 5 years ago in North America, but Target retail stores were hacked and devastatingly had IPP data just blown out. That came in through an HVA system, or HVAC, sorry, an air conditioning system that was connected to the network. The amount of risk that is, the surface area risk that is created by the extended network and the exposure that is happening as people try to modernize their business is just crazy at the scale that people can't even model. To be honest, like I've been, reading, Measure Everything and Measure, uh, or I think that's the title of it, and it's really about how do you measure cloud security risk. And like their model, this is the second generation of the book. Their first model, they were off by, 100% because it grew that fast. Their second model that they did just 4 years ago is off again because it's growing so fast. I mentioned Medusa earlier in the shareware um, of criminal activity. It's just so scary. And when people think about app modernization, they're focused on performance and agility of the developers to remain competitive. And the reality is they're not protecting their brand, they're not protecting their customer, they're not protecting their infrastructure when they leave off the modernization of their network and their security.
Mhm. Wow, interesting. As we wind down, last couple of questions.
Sure.
I want to ask, as your customers come on board and they adopt Aviatrix, what are some of the first results they see? How soon do they see those results?
Yeah. So one of the things is in both products, both the PaaS and the enterprise solution, there's a oh my God moment, and you can put the explicitive in there if you want, but it's the oh my God moment when they have the transparency to actually their multi-cloud network and they see for the first time across all the clouds and have the ability to start orchestrating and see where the performance is at. It's just their eyes get really, really big. And there's that moment that happens in the first 30 minutes to an hour of deploying our software. Once you put your keys in, it's like, oh my gosh. And it really is and it's like, all the island VPCs that are out there, all the, you know, challenging shadow IT, shadow app development, all the things that happen, under their desk and in the remote servers and everything just become exposed. And it just is one of those moments of, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And it's scary and fun. So I'll admit it. It's a little bit of an oh my God moment. And then the other thing that I love in our PaaS solution that has the gamification right up front is it that security audit is basically seeing how they compare to peers in similar industries or similar size companies, however they construct their audit, and seeing how they can improve instantly and just by doing some small things. And there's a sense of their posture kind of gets a little bit straighter and their pride goes up because they know they're solving big problems efficiently and effectively while performing improvements in operations, performance and performance and cost. And if you look at the simple thing of cost, which is not a key motivator for people at the networking layer because the cloud cost is something that was made decision, 5, 6 years ago by 6, 7 levels up a chain. And the reality is, as shareholders, we should all care about cost. But if you remove egress from, from or egress fees from your cloud compute, it could be somewhere between 5 and 10% of your cloud cost. So you start looking at those things, and it really does, you know, give you that response of, wow, this I'm actually making my company better every day. And it's not hours and hours and hours and hours of staring at a dashboard. It's quick, it's easy, and it's um, that the other thing that I'll, as a marketer, Twain, you probably also understand this, using a singular taxonomy across multiple clouds is really easy. It's really easy to harmonize on across your team, and just adding that to a company of any size, of making it simple to use, making it simple to work across multiple clouds and multiple policies and multiple infrastructures. And a single taxonomy really does change the game for a lot of our customers. And I'd be remiss in not mentioning how much joy comes out of that and the ability to kind of harmonize their teams.
That's amazingly fast, just 30 minutes to an hour to get immediate insight into your stack. Wow, that's
Yeah.
something.
Dwayne, we have a free trial on AWS and Azure for our PaaS solution for 30 days, and it is 13 minutes to get up and running and probably an hour to find all the security keys you need. Just
Yeah.
because we don't need, hopefully you don't have those on sticky notes on your desk, but
Mhm.
ultimately, it's probably realistically, and we can do it because we've tested it in under 13, but it's probably an hour to get up and running and to see the oh my God moments that I've discussed in less than an hour. And to have a security audit in less than an hour is really cool too.
Yeah, probably months and years of open doors being spotted in minutes. That's something.
Yeah, that the 10 years of IP and 10 years of big brains working on this product has really yielded a beautiful, simple product to use and to make a really challenging problem, you know, easier. It's never simple, but it's
Mhm.
easier to resolve.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Last question in our conversation for you is just, as you reflect on your career, and you mentioned, you just had so many roles and companies of all sizes. And just wanted to get your advice to someone starting out in this space, someone looking to get into doing marketing in this space. What would you advise them? How do they think about career?
It's interesting. We have an intern, Morgan Buckley, starting in June, and she's coming from High Point University, where they didn't really encourage the use of LLMs for obvious reasons. They want you know, the institution of learning to be very organic. But the reality is, like I said earlier in this podcast, we have all switched. We are all hitting the easy button. And if you're not using Claude, Chat, Deep, all these ones in your daily life, then you're going to be behind. I remember
Mm,
teaching early talent, as recent as 2014 at SAP, how to use Outlook, where to click to see if somebody was available or not. I mean, now it's like, okay, my expectation is they're coming in with some level or at least passion for LLMs. And I'm learning every day. I expect them to be learning every day. Just the other day, I'm here in London and I needed to get to 3 places in London and I didn't know how to do it efficiently. And I went into ChatGPT and said, I need to go to these 3 places. Help me do it. What's the most efficient? What's the most cost effective? And what's the fastest? That's what my prompt was. Perfect natural language. Boom. And it gave me 3 responses. They were brilliant. And it got me to where I needed to go as fast as I needed to go with, not spending 100, pounds on taxis. And it really, ChatGPT is changing, not just chat, but all the LMs are changing the way we work. I think Claude is brilliant. I'm still a huge fan of Claude. I used it for my employee reviews. I used it for form fills, and it's amazing.
mhm,
And so what I tell to all people coming into the work this year, next year, if you're not orchestrating your emails, if you're not looking at research on the company, research on the humans you're interviewing with, first in LLMs, you're missing the boat. And your expectation is your content should be generated, at the 70 to 80% in LLMs, and then your knowledge as you grow it should be the other 20 to 30%. Then as you become more of a domain expertise, as you grow your career, then maybe it's some combination of that. Maybe it's 60/40, but it's still don't never start with a blank piece of paper and start writing. Go to the LLM first and say, this is what I'm looking to do. And if they get in that mindset, they will be running at the pace of enterprise business much faster than an early talent would normally pace at.
That's a unique perspective because, I see a lot of marketers, I hear them, dissing AI and stuff on LinkedIn and other places. And, it's just like they're above and beyond all of those things. It's kind of that tone. And so, I think to myself, it's not like an either or. It's not like you use it or you don't use it. It's about, the ones who actually use it are going to be ahead in the years to come. And it's about knowing how to use it that is really going to separate, those who use it badly versus those who use it well. So I found your response quite insightful and nuanced, really interesting.
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean, it would be like as a marketer, to me, it would be like saying, no, I want to use Bing and not use Google because Google is too busy. No, no, no. Like you really are missing the boat. So yeah, I would double down as much as I possibly can. It is, and if you're not understanding the value of using, Gen AI in your work, doesn't matter if you're writing code, using finance, whatever, it is changing. I mean, I fundamentally disagree that it's reducing the need for you know, uh, humans in the workplace and the excuse of letting staff go because of AI's, automation. The pace of business, if I get faster, that means everybody else gets faster. It doesn't mean we slow down and we're like, hey, we now have time for the beach and now we have time to practice our painting and read books by Mark Twain and do these things. No, it's like, no, I actually have to do more work and there's never a shortage. So I think we're a few years away at least from AI really reducing the amount of work that humans are doing. I think
yeah,
it's
yeah,
just
absolutely.
freeing us up to do more and be more creative, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. The very last question for you before you go, just to get to know you a bit. If you were not, Scott the marketer, uh, for all your career, what would you be doing apart from that?
As a different job, because I was about to
Yeah,
say hot rods and I don't want to work on hot
something
rods.
non something non-tech, non-marketing.
Yeah, so I love hot rods. I have a car collection and my best friends are all into hot rods. And so it's kind of a
Oh, wow.
something I love, but I wouldn't want to be a wrench for the rest of my career. That's for sure. That's too
Uh,
hard. I don't know that I want to work that hard. Um, but if I was not in marketing, um, gosh, it's hard because after spending a couple of days with Honorbon and seeing how smart he is, I, I kind of have a work crush on what he's done with Kubernetes. And so it's like, I think I might have missed some
mhm,
opportunity there because I'm fairly technical as a marketing person, but I I really do think there is something magical about being a software engineer. Both the hammering and chopping wood that they do every day, to produce something, but also the artistic side of it to actually create something that disrupts an industry that, takes something that is challenging and makes it simple, beautiful, and exciting to use is the art of it. And there's something about that. Listening to Honorbon for the last 3 days, I think has probably tainted or not tainted, but swayed my interest there. But yeah, I don't know. To be honest, I love technology. I love um, everything we're doing to serve networking and cloud security. And so I don't know how far away I'd be from that, but pick another industry, it's hot rods, pick another thing at,
mhm.
golf, tennis, whatever.
All right, all right. Interesting. Wow, that was a wonderful conversation. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thanks for sharing all of that with us. It was a pleasure having you on the show.
Yeah.
And to our listeners and viewers, I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation as much as we did. And do tune in again for more conversations like this. And go check out Aviatrix and all that they're doing. I'm sure that there's a lot of ideas that Scott has sparked on this episode. So go check out all of their products and get in touch with them. Try their free trial, as Scott mentioned. And if you're at KubeCon, look out for their booth. It's probably the one that's going to be the most crowded.
Thanks for
And
that, Tony. Yeah.
that, we'll see you, Scott, on another episode, and see all of our listeners and viewers on the next one. Bye-bye.
Awesome. Thanks, Dwayne.
Thank you.